we're going to begin the service for Jared. If you have a cell phone, I'd ask you kindly to place it in the silent mode and turn it completely off at this time. And we also like to welcome everybody via live stream on behalf of the family. Thank you for attending as well. Services will be conducted by Rabbi Mimi Dickman.
Before we start the service for Jared, I'm going to tear the ribbons that Paulina and Kendra and Amelia are wearing. And just as a reminder, it's a symbol that our hearts are torn. And it's also a symbol that they need care and love, as you know, that's why you're here. And that they are not hostesses today in any way. They are to be taken care of and to allow people to take care of you. You wear it on the outside for 7 days, on the inside days 8 through 30, and then many people place it in a drawer. And the practice of Jewish traditions takes you really through the first year, and then every year on the anniversary of his death, there are prayers to say and a candle to be lit. So I'll tear them and say the blessing, which is Baruch atah Adonai, Dayan ha'emet. Praised are you, God, Judge of truth. We are here to be together and to do this act of devotion for Jared. We are here with broken hearts, filled with a mixture of pain and grief, and love and admiration for such an extraordinary person who delighted in his connections with you, his beloved family and friends. In the rising of the sun and in its going down, we will remember you. In the blowing of the wind and in the chill of winter, we will remember you, Jared. In the opening of buds and in the rebirth of spring, we will remember you. In the blueness of the sky and in the warmth of summer, we will remember you. In the rustling of leaves and in the beauty of autumn, we will remember you. In the beginning of the year and when it ends, we will remember you, Jared. When we are weary and in need of strength, we will remember you. When we are lost and sick at heart, we will remember you. When we have joys we yearn to share, we will remember you and share them with you. So long as we live, you too shall live, for you are now a part of us as we remember you. This poem is by Rabbi Chaim Stern. It is a fearful thing to love what death can touch, a fearful thing to love and hope and dream, to be and to lose. A thing for fools this, and a holy thing to love. For your life has lived in me, your laugh once lifted me, your word was gift to me. To remember this brings a painful joy. 'Tis a human thing, love, a holy thing, to love what death has touched. I'm going to read Psalm 23 in Hebrew, and then I'll ask you to read it with me in English. Adonai roi lo echsar, bino deshe yarbitzeni, al mei menuchot yenahaleni nafshi yeshovev. Yancheni b'magle tzedek v'ma'an shemo. Gam ki elech b'geit zalmavet, lo ira ra, ki ata imadi. Shiftecha umishantecha hema yenachamuni, ta'aroch lefanai shochan neged sorarai. Dishanta v'shemen roshi, kosi rivaya, ach tov v'chesed yirdefuni, kol yemei chayai, v'shavti b'veit Adonai le'orech yamim. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for God's name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forever. There's two words in that psalm, kosi rivaya, my cup overflows. And from what I've learned about Jared, it sounds like he had a sense that his cup overflowed with life, with all of his interests, with his successes, with his victories over many trials, with his friendships, his family, and his true love. So whenever we hear Psalm 23 and we hear those words, kosi rivaya, my cup overflows, let us find comfort in knowing that Jared did feel gratitude for his life, which did overflow in so many ways. Esa enai el heharim me'ayin yavo Ezri. Ezri me'im Adonai osei shamayim va'aretz. Al yitain lamot raglecha, al yanum shomrecha. Hine lo yanum velo yishan, shomer Yisrael. I lift my eyes to the mountains. What is the source of my help? My help comes from Adonai, maker of heaven and earth. God will not let your foot give way. Your protector will not slumber. The protector of Israel neither slumbers nor sleeps. God is your guardian. God is your protection at your right hand. The sun will not strike you by day, nor the moon by night. God will guard you from harm. God will guard your soul, your going and coming, now and forever.
We are here today to remember Jared. And I thought of starting with a thank you, although it feels strange to speak of gratitude in this moment. Still, I want to acknowledge how deeply grateful I am for you, our community and support. Jared cherished connection and brought people together. And even now, in this tragic moment, he has brought us together again. There are no words to capture the heartbreak and emptiness Jared's death has left in our lives. And yet, in true Jared fashion, I would like to focus on love, his joy, and his kindness. Jared was not only my husband, but my true love, my soulmate. From the moment we met, we knew that we had stepped into something extraordinary. As Jared once wrote, for what was meant to be our wedding website, our story began with a most compatible match. which led us to Sparrow, a rum bar in Chicago's Gold Coast. Jared had described how the conversation flowed effortlessly, how we were hanging on each word of our stories, and how we ended the night with a kiss. That memory and the way he told it captures the magic of our beginning. His sharp mind, quick wit, and fascinating conversation drew me in. But what truly captured me was his sweetness and kindness. When Jared spoke openly about his health struggles, I was struck by his strength and resilience. He was the most emotionally intelligent person I have ever known. He showed me that there is strength in openness, in honesty, in asking questions like, what are 3 words to describe your day so far? Well, Jared and we didn't have a chance to exchange vows before family and friends. I know we lived them every day in the way we loved and cared for each other. And during his final days, I learned that Jared had written an initial draft of his vows in Spanish. And one line that has stayed with me after I read them was that our love would be por los siglos de los siglos, a love forever and ever. And I know that if Jared had lived 1,000 lives, I would love him in each one. Well, our time together wasn't long. We infused each moment with as much love and fun as we could. I cherish every moment that I got to call him mine. We went for dinner to new and exciting places around Chicago. We listened to jazz at the Jazz Showcase. We walked the paths in the Botanic Garden. More than that, those quiet moments at home, sharing the space with our cats, planning for the week ahead, they were always full of love and hope for the future. As many of you know, cooking was also one of our rituals of love. Cooking together cemented our teamwork and affection. We would pull recipes from the New York Times, put on music, anything from Motown to Mexican rock, and experiment in the kitchen. Jared also shared his love of words with me. He hooked me on the Sunday New York Times crossword, which he could finish in half an hour, with me proudly contributing to the pop culture quiz. And Jared's love for his family was palpable. On our first date, he told me about listening to Coltrane at home in Bethesda, about Kendra making him hot chocolate with marshmallows when it snowed, and his love for Amelia and his niece and nephew. Well, Eliana had been born at that time. Rosia was still to come. And I'm very lucky that that family has embraced me as their own. Just one of the many ways in which Jared has expanded my world. Jared was also determined to connect with my family, which inspired him to begin studying Spanish at one of the city colleges in Chicago. He worked at it with pride, and I know he treasured every time he could hold a conversation with my family in their language. He also widened my life through his friendships. I've always been amazed at the care Jared took in maintaining connections. That is reflected in so many of you here today. Friends from his 22 years in Chicago, and even longer from his childhood in Bethesda. And after his cancer diagnosis, those connections became even more important. And many of you were showered with Jared's texts, emails, and calls, often involving him retelling our love story or recounting his latest writing project. At the same time, all of you showed up for us through cards, emails, calls, and visits at the hospital, offering us strength during his treatments. Your presence then and your presence now are living proof of Jared's love. And then there were words. Jared's gift with language shown in his work as a science writer in Argonne and in his love for poetry. During his final year, he wrote poems to express both love and anguish. And I was privileged to be the first to hear many of his poems, including one that I would like to share with you today, titled, What is Important? What is important? A recent life or death crisis has prompted many a thought about what is important and about what's not. Loving freely seems to be the greatest thing to me. I am sure that pretty much all of you would agree. It's hard to be open-hearted. It's easier to be partly closed. Loving in that way could leave you vulnerable and exposed. But don't worry, that could truly be a good thing, I feel. To newly discover a love that is more authentic and real. Celebrate old friends and loved ones you love to spend time with, and also make new buddies who you can make life's climb with. Being open to making friends is surely worth your while. You never know which stranger turned friend could leave you with a smile. Even the smallest gifts and interactions have real meaning, don't you agree? As the old saying goes, all the best things in life are free. So here I stand before you, singing my heart's freedom song, which says, with positivity and gratitude, I can do no wrong. And know that in this poem, I give you an open door, as helping and loving one another is what we are all here for. Jared leaves us with countless memories, lessons, but above all, love. His father, Mark, once said, love is the explanation. And Jared embodied that truth every day. Another poet, Emily Dickinson, once wrote, unable are the loved to die, for love is immortality. And I believe this is true in how Jared lives on with us. And certainly true in the pieces of me that exist today, only because he loved me first.
The t-shirt that Jared made for himself for his 40th birthday says everything about him. If you haven't seen the picture, you will, and it says Kindness Incorporated. And that's Jared. That's who he was above all else. A thoughtful friend, supportive brother, a proud uncle, a loving son, and a husband who was in awe of Paulina, his soulmate. He was a jazz enthusiast. He expanded Paulina's music repertoire by taking her to jazz clubs and listening to music at home. And you expanded his world in so many ways as well. When he took an interest in something, he found a way to pursue it. Like poetry or cooking, or Spanish. Yesterday, his mom told me about when he was an 8th grader, he took a college course in geology and he earned an A, an 8th grader. He was also a brilliant writer who was able to explain very complicated scientific concepts in clear language for other people to learn, to read and learn from. This was no easy task, and he loved his job. He was admired and beloved by his coworkers. It seems like the world was endlessly interesting to Jared, and he took advantage of all that he could. Paulina and Jared traveled to Mexico City and another town outside of Mexico City for a wedding, to Madrid and Barcelona. You filled your time together up to the brim, as you said. And even 80 years with Jared, or 1,000, would not have been enough. Your love story was one for the ages, and our hearts hurt for you. You took such good care of him, and both of you deserved to reap the rewards of your strength and his. And yet there are ways in which you will. You will always know how it feels to be loved in the way that Jared loved you, Paulina. He was resilient and positive and humble and truly curious about the lives of the people he cared about. And that was a lot of people. We can all aspire to emulate these qualities. Amelia, you said that he was your playmate when you were young, and that he always supported you and you were always close. To lose a sibling is to lose a connection to the big and little details of your own story. But Uncle Jared will continue to be a part of your story and your family's story. I hope that this afternoon and in the days and months ahead, you and your mom will continue to learn about Jared from the perspective of those who knew him in all different chapters of his life. Kendra, as you said, you do have more experience with grief. And grief is the kind of teacher we think is so unkind at first. And then the relationship grows, and we realize that grief is a very good teacher of lessons that make us wiser and more compassionate, but also weary. Your family has endured a lot in the last couple of years. Let your family and friends embrace you and support you as you grieve and heal in what is rarely a linear path. But this you know, Jared found joy in his life. Jared found the deepest love with Paulina. Jared was truly admired. His heart was open and generous. He had a positive outlook despite many challenges. Even from pictures, you can tell that his smile could light up a room. The world has lost a true mensch, and you have lost a part of yourselves. May the day come in time when thinking about Jared evokes less pain for you and more of the joy of who he was and how much you love him. This is from a letter that Winston Churchill wrote to his wife. In the event of my death, do not grieve for me too much. I am a spirit confident of my rights. Death is only an incident and not the most important which happens to us in the state of being. On the whole, especially since I met you, my darling one, I have been happy, and you have taught me how noble a woman's heart can be. If there is anywhere else, I shall be on the lookout for you. Meanwhile, look forward, feel free, rejoice in life, guard my memory. God bless you. I'll ask you to rise if you can for the Jewish memorial prayer called El Malei Rachamim, God full of compassion. El Malei Rachamim, Shochin Bamromim, Hametzei Menucha Nechona, Tachat Kanfei Hashchina, Im Kedoshim Utehorim, Kizohar Harakia Mazhirim, at Nishmat Jared Nathaniel Sagoff, son of Mark and Kendra, Shahalach Leolamo, Ba'al Harachamim, Yastirehu B'Seter Knafav Leolamim, V'yitzror B'yitzor HaChaim et Nishmato, Adonai Hu Nachalato, V'yanuach B'Shalom Al Mishkavo, V'nomar Amen. Compassionate God, eternal Spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest in your sheltering presence to Jared, who has entered eternity. O God of mercy, let him find refuge in the shadow of your wings. Let his soul be bound up in the bond of everlasting life. God is his inheritance. May he rest in peace. And together we say, Amen. We're going to bury Jared's remains and pay him the respect of shoveling dirt into the grave ourselves as a way of showing our love and devotion to Him. And when we're finished with that, I'll ask you again to rise so we can say the Mourner's Kaddish. You can be seated for just a moment. I'll invite the family first, and then friends and family if you want to follow. Anyone who wants to is invited to participate in this mitzvah, in this commandment.
On either side. Friends are
Mourner's Kaddish is also on your paper. I'll ask you to rise if you can. Yit Kadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah v'yalma divra chirute v'yamlich malchute b'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael ba'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olomeo maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal Shmei dekudsha barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata za'amiran bi'alma v'imru Amen. Yehi Shlama Rabba min Shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. Osei shalom b'mrumav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru Amen. May God grant peace to those who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved among us. Amen. Can be seated. Just a few announcements. I'm going to check with Paulina. Everybody knows. Okay, everybody knows that the celebration of life continues at the loft later at 1:30. There's a tradition of placing a stone by a grave, and so the family is going to do that. And then after they do that, we're going to form what's called a shura, lines, to kind of embrace the family as they go back to life, which we are called to do. And so Peggy and our friends from Chicago Jewish Funeral will help us to create that embrace for you.